welcome to the second episode of Hot Takes. I've kind of sprung this on you. We were going to record this tomorrow, but we're recording it today. I felt it appropriate because we've just watched an episode of Gen V and Invincible. So, do you remember what the topic was going to be?
It's meant to do with DC.
I'll tell you. So the topic for today, if you didn't watch the last episode was, is the Phantom Menace better than A New Hope? That was the last hot take that I had. This one is the age of the superhero over? Have we left superhero films for dead? And the reason I say this is because the Marvels recently came out. It was a flop. You know, Marvel hasn't really recovered since Endgame. They've really struggled. Seems to be a lot of TV shows, not a lot of films, but films that aren't doing very well. DC just doesn't know what it's doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of it's a weird thing. So, in my mind, I would say the age of the sort of, I wouldn't even know what you'd call it. The age of the
superhero?
Well-known superheroes is over.
Do you think?
When I say that, I mean Marvel and DC. Especially with films. Films is the big one.
I just don't know why Marvel's all of a sudden struggling. Like, they did so well. Like, is it just a lack of planning? Or is it just people were like, oh, it's never going to be better, and so...
Yeah.
Because sometimes there have been some reviews of some stuff where I've kind of like, well, I don't think that's ready. Like, there were people that didn't like WandaVision.
Yeah.
But I actually really liked it.
Yeah. But WandaVision was very niche.
Yeah, and people are obviously allowed their own opinions, but I was kind of just like, well, do you not like it because it's just different and it was the first of the new kind of age of Marvel, or is it actually it wasn't very good?
It's kind of like when you look at the films that came out after Endgame, the only one that I would say was a home run was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man did good.
Yeah, because that was like...
A lot of that was built on Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire being in it.
Yeah.
It was still a good film.
Right.
But it wouldn't have been the film it was had they not been in it.
Yeah. But I do mean very mainstream superheroes. So superheroes that, like, everyone knows. Everyone knows who Spider-Man is. Everyone knows who Superman is. However, The Boys and Invincible, i.e. Amazon superhero universe, they're knocking it out the park as far as I'm concerned. Because The Boys is brilliant so far. Gen V's been really good. Invincible, I just had my mind blown a little bit just then. And it's just interesting, isn't it, that we've gone from Marvel. I mean, sorry everyone, but the best thing that DC produced was the Dark Knight trilogy. You know, people can get, upset and say Snyder Cut and all that stuff. The Snyder Cut couldn't even wipe the Dark Knight trilogy's backside if it tried. But DC are really struggling to build. There's a lot of people that essentially fighting James Gunn on his version of...
There's been a lot of stuff recently, especially with Sean Gunn and stuff like that. There's stuff recently. There's a feud with over that kind of thing.
There was a feud with supposedly Zachary Levi, wasn't there? Said something. He tweeted something like, "Suppose you can have as many roles as you want if you know the writers," or something like that.
If your brother's doing all, basically, he has had a few roles.
Well,
he was Calendar Man.
He was Calendar Man, and he was also the Weasel or whatever it was.
Yeah, and he voiced something in one of the animated shows, and he's apparently going to get another role
in DC. What animated show in DC?
What was it? Was it animated? Or it was just something. Apparently, you voiced.
There have been animated films. Yeah.
I don't know if it was an animated film, but there was something I saw because people were ranting about it. He voiced a character in something, and now apparently he's going to get another role. And there was all this uproar about because James Gunn apparently came out and was like, actors are only just going to play one part.
Yeah.
But then his own brother has played many.
G.I. Robot? No idea.
He's already played quite a few characters in the few movies that have released.
Yeah. Oh, he's also scheduled to play Maxwell Lord,
Mm.
who I'm not entirely sure who that is. But yeah,
Yes, there's been loads of grief
it's
recently
in
with
turmoil,
DC.
isn't it, DC?
Do you think though, because I've often wondered, do you think the thing that puts people off is the lack of organisation and planning? Because when you think about Marvel in the early days, one of the best things they did was the continued story.
Uh-huh.
And it was the cohesion. It was like, okay, so this is all the characters, even though they're doing their own things, they've got their own movies,
Yeah.
and then they come together for team-ups. It's all going in that same direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently it's kind of been like, okay, but where is it going now? Who's the big bad? Who's the next, what's the next sub thingy? And it's kind of like all jumbled up, And so I think people are kind of miffed with that.
Yeah.
And DC's been in an array for God knows how long now, years. It seemed like they kind of had an idea and then the movies weren't that good and the writing and producer interjection and it kind of just ruined it.
Yeah.
But then everyone hoped with James Gunn that there was going to be a bit of cohesion in the universe again, but
the problem was, for some reason, they cancelled, was it Batgirl?
yeah.
Post-production. They cancelled Batgirl post-production.
Was it Batgirl?
Yeah. Batwoman. Yeah, there was. I can't remember. I'm sure it was Batwoman, but they basically cancelled it post-production, so it was like
it wasn't that good.
Yeah, it was on the verge of coming out.
Yeah. But then they fired Henry Cavill and
they got rid of Henry Cavill like a week after he got told he was coming back.
Yeah, they got rid of Ben Affleck.
Mm-hmm. But the worst part is that they basically came out and went, "We're gonna restart the DC universe. It's gonna be James Gunn's vision. He's gonna plan everything out. Films, shows, they're all gonna be interconnected. Animated shows, they're all gonna be connected."
Yeah.
And then they brought out Black Adam. Brought out The Flash.
Shazam,
and it was kind of like, then why are you still
Aquaman?
Yeah, why are you still producing? Why are you still bringing these movies out
when
that are part of the DCAU when you're saying you're restarting?
I know.
It's like, if you're
that
gonna,
was the confusing bit.
if you're gonna clear the slate, clear the whole slate.
But then The Flash. Have you seen The Flash?
No.
I haven't seen all of it, but I have seen. There was a post-credit scene where George Clooney came out, and he was like, "Well, that's not my Batman."
I saw
and it was
that,
like,
yeah.
"Well, now where the heck are you going with it?"
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. It's just
You just need to basically just say, "Okay, no more of that."
Yeah.
Leave that alone. Now we're just gonna start afresh, and we're just gonna have a new universe. That's the best thing they can do.
Yeah. Let's not show favouritism though. Obviously, Marvel has also had its fair share of dramas the past few years. Obviously, Jonathan Majors was going to be playing Kang, or has played.
He still is.
He's played Kang.
He's still scheduled to do all the movies.
But he got allegations against him, didn't
I
he?
think it's pretty much proved.
Something
Goes back over 11 years of
was it
assault
abuse?
and abuse.
Assault,
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that's been marred. But then, like I said, I can't remember the 3 films.
So Thor didn't do very well, Ant-Man didn't do very well, and the Marvels didn't do very well.
Yeah.
Which were kind of the big ones after Spider-Man, the ones that they really built up.
Doctor Strange as well. There was Doctor Strange.
That didn't do terribly considering though.
It didn't do terribly, but people weren't
impressed with
it. Yeah.
Yeah. But they were the 3 that really... The Marvels is the worst...
Box office,
worst rated movie that I think they've ever done.
Yeah.
Again though, is that... I haven't seen it yet.
No, me neither.
But a part of you wonders, what is that because of Brie Larson? Is it because of the writing? Because people haven't really liked Captain Marvel.
No. What's queer is you can look at all those films and you can kind of go, right, let's sort of look at them each one. So you had Spider-Man, right? And Spider-Man was basically Marvel going, you want this, fine,
let's give
here it is. And that's why so many people turned out to see it, was because we want Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. You either give us it or we'll write it. And they gave us it, and it was like, you know what? We did this. This is our victory.
And it was a good movie as well. It wasn't like...
It was a really good movie. It was Tom Holland's. I think it's Tom Holland's best Spider-Man performance. And frankly, Andrew Garfield's best Spider-Man performance, I think. But then you have Thor: Love and Thunder, where it was kind of like, you've killed it a little bit.
It was like what was good about the other movies, they kind of just got rid of.
Yeah.
You know, the jokes were a bit too much. It wasn't serious at all.
Yeah. Well, it kind
And
of
it was
took
just-
Thor Ragnarok and turned it way too high, didn't it?
Yeah, but even in Thor Ragnarok, he was still serious. He still had his moments where he was like, okay, this is the goal, this is what... But in Thor Love and Thunder, it was just kind of just like... He's all busy talking to Stormbreaker about Mjolnir, and I was kind of like, well, what the heck is...
It was the screaming goats that got it for me. And it really made... Like, I wasn't an overly big fan of Korg coming out of Ragnarok. Because he was kind of... It just felt like something Taika Waititi put in so he could have a
role in the movie.
But that one really made me go, well, I really dislike this character. I don't like him anymore.
Well, it was like he died, and it was kind of like, oh, well, that could have been like a big turning point for the movie, like the seriousness that could come through, and then it was just like, no, he's just ahead now.
But even when he got the thing through the chest, he was going, I'm perishing. And it's kind of like, yeah, but let there be a serious moment.
Mm.
But then the other one's Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is the most divisive one, I think, because some people loved it, some people hated it.
I'm kind of on the fence with that one. It wasn't bad. Definitely not the worst of the bunch, but it could have been so much more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could have been so much more than what we got, I felt like, and...
Like, it had a lot of breathing space, didn't it? Given what happened in Spider-Man, it had a lot of breathing space.
But also, I mean, something that's really been bugging me with Marvel recently, and just Disney, is the quality of the movie in itself. Like, the visual effects and the CGI have really seemed to have gone back downhill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, in Multiverse of Madness, like, the eye that you had, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, the eye Doctor Strange gets, like, that was really poor, like, quality.
I've seen the one that made the rounds from Love and Thunder was the
boy's head.
The boy's head,
when he was just there. And it seems like they always had a really good, like, rap on that, and now it's kind of just going downhill.
Yeah.
It's like, at least make sure that the movie's good quality.
One of the things I've seen for Doctor Strange, though, the biggest complaint with Doctor Strange is it was a good film if you're Scarlet Witch. Done well for her. Everyone else just kind of got...
She definitely was what kept that movie together. She was... Elizabeth Olsen was really good in that movie.
I just mean a character. I mean, like, Scarlet Witch looked amazing in the
Yeah.
Everyone else just looked completely useless. You know, Doctor Strange could barely even stand up to her. Bear in mind, this geezer went toe to toe with Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Well, I mean, she is meant to be more powerful than him. That's what the Darkhold said.
I know, this
More
is
powerful than the
Sorcerer
Sorceress.
Supreme. It's
The
just...
book said more powerful than Sorcerer
I know,
Supreme.
I just don't like it.
It should have been a little longer of a fight, though.
But then you had the Illuminati, and it was kind of like, oh, this should be a big deal. They all died within 5 minutes.
I've seen that all the memes where it was like Reed Richards, smartest man alive, and it's like you try to fight Wanda, and you try to talk her down.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like.
Kind of like, yeah, you know, I know you could probably kill all of us by blinking. I'm going to tell you how this guy can kill you. That's like...
I tell you exactly how he can kill you so that you can stop him from killing you and kill him.
Just have him neutralise her. Like, they snapped up Doctor Strange instantly because they thought Doctor Strange was the biggest threat to the multiverse.
Yeah.
Yet they just stood and talked. Why? Just restrain that instantly? It's like... yeah, it seemed... The more times I've watched that film, the more I've kind of gone, well, that's just a bit silly. Like, and I know, you know, it's Marvel. I'm not going to say there hasn't been silly moments, but then you also look at the series and Marvel. It's kind of...
I felt like it started off really well.
It did. The first season of Loki was good.
I liked Falcon Winter Soldier, despite the people that were like complaining about certain...
And there was a lot of... Like, because I watched it a second time a few months ago, and there's a lot of writing in it that doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
You know, like
I still like the general story, though.
I like the general story, and I liked Sam Wilson's suit.
I did agree that the bad guy wasn't the best.
Yeah.
But it was still watchable.
But there was a line in that where the worst bit of writing in it was that lass is bombing buildings, killing people. One of the senator people calls her a terrorist. And Sam Wilson says, "You've got to stop calling her a terrorist." So, well, I don't want to be this guy, but they kind of are terrorists. They're blowing up buildings and killing people just because they don't agree with it. You know, that is very close to the definition of terrorists.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think that the best thing about that show by far was Bucky, wasn't it? Or even Zemo. Zemo was really great.
Yeah. What else? I mean, I liked Moon Knight. That was really good.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like that's gone anywhere, does it? I like Moon Knight as well, but like...
The hype around Moon Knight wasn't as big as what I felt like it should have been.
I just been like that, like, he's just kind of disappeared.
He's getting a second season.
Yeah.
I feel like
The
it's
Eternals, that was the other one that came out post-Endgame.
The Eternals, yeah. That when that came out, people had a lot of issue with it, but I didn't see what the issue... I do agree it was a bit slow and a bit like, oh, come on. But, I mean, that was going to happen either way because you had Endgame and then you had that, and it was just like a complete polar opposites. Yeah. But I didn't think it was bad.
I enjoyed it, except it just presents a lot of problems. A lot of problems that haven't been addressed. Like, you know, they kind of talked out of it with a line. They're not supposed to meddle in, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the fact they were there for like thousands of years?
And they didn't help with Thanos. It's kind of like, you know,
because they weren't supposed to get involved.
Yeah, that was kind of like, okay, fair enough. Then there's there's a big Eternal sticking out of the sea or whatever. It's not been referenced once since then.
Yeah.
You know, I will admit though, it had one of the coolest shots I've ever seen was when Arishem turned up on the horizon. That was cool. I like that. Well, like the clouds parted and everything, and he was just there.
Yeah.
I like that bit. I didn't even mind the characters.
I thought it was. I didn't think it was bad. I think it was just.
Makari and Druid steal the show though. Adore them too. I think I've just become a Barry Keoghan fan. I think I'm just obsessed.
Really underrated actor.
It's gonna be the Joker.
I know.
But
when Shang-Chi came out. Shang-Chi. That was another post-end game.
Oh yeah, that was good. A lot of people. That one's a lot more
liked.
Yeah,
by people.
Universally liked.
Yeah.
Because that one had the right mix of silly and quite serious. Well, the most recent one, obviously, that we'll have to talk about is the Marvels. And you said it's kind of like, well, what's the reason for doing so poorly?
So thing is, I don't know enough about why people don't like Brie Larson, but I know she's not a very liked person.
Yeah. So the thing about Brie Larson is supposedly there's a lot of people don't like her attitude. A little bit.
Right.
Because when she came in, she basically just went, yeah, I'm stronger than all of you, don't matter. Don't care. She didn't really seem to care about any of, you know, these people who people had grown up with for however many years. She just turned up and treated them a bit like rubbish. But again, people didn't like the first movie, and the lead is always going to get blamed for that, which is unfair. But
because it was I do feel like the writing for the first movie wasn't best.
Yeah, but then there's a few things. Do you know who the bad guy is?
In what?
The Marvels?
No.
No? Did you know who the bad guy was in Infinity War when that came out?
Yeah.
If you think back to every Marvel film, when it's come out, you've almost always known who the bad guy was going to be. And I still don't have a clue who the bad guy is in the Marvels. And as everyone knows, a superhero movie is only as good as its film.
Because we were talking about this the other day, I didn't even realise it was out. I feel like the marketing for Marvels was also really bad.
And do you know why? Due out after the strikes. They didn't advertise it at all.
Because of the strikes. And then they were just like, okay, just put it out.
Came out. So that's another excuse. I've seen 1 or 2 reviews for it, spoiler free, where people are saying it is actually quite good. Because it's not all on Brie Larson.
The other characters as well.
So it's kind of like what, you know, but I will stick by it. I think, do you know what, with Marvel and DC now, it's because when the first Iron Man film came out, or the second one really, it was the second one where it really clicked on that the Avengers was happening. But even in the Incredible Hulk, you saw Tony Stark at the end. He was in the post credits. I assume you know you've seen it. People grew up with them. Like I did it, you did.
Yeah.
Grew up with them. Same with DC. Like I grew up with the Dark Knight trilogy, but I'd also watched all the Batmans. Believe it or not, folks, my favourite Batman film used to be Batman Forever with Jim Carrey and green spandex. You know, people grew up with those films. Then, once you've sort of getting to a certain age, like my age, it's kind of like it's going to have to be a really good story to keep me interested. Especially after Endgame, where a lot of my favourite characters are stepping off. You know, Robert Downey Jr. left, Chris Evans left. Them two, mainly, they were my favourites. But it was also kind of like, they're the pillars of Marvel at the minute. It's them two. Those are the, like, it's their relationship that essentially defined Infinity War and Endgame. Well, the three biggest Marvel movies at the time, really, you know, Civil War, Infinity War and Endgame. Then when they stepped off, it's kind of like, well, you're going to have to find something that fills their spot.
Yeah.
I don't think they've found it. They haven't found that yet.
Just feels like they're pumping out a lot as well. It's like there's something new all the time. It's like there's a new show, then there's a new movie, then there's a new show, then there's a new movie. And it's like, focus on quality.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that the quality is gone down quite a bit.
Yeah.
The writing, the visual effects, CGI, it all just seems to have gone downhill. And considering Disney is literally the biggest company in the world with the most money, like, how man.
Yeah. I think the Marvels will open their eyes. Because it's not like it's just suddenly happened.
Yeah.
The box office has been slowly dropping. You know, it kind of spiked with Spider-Man and then it's slowly gone down. Even with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange didn't do
as well.
I
think it's not good enough to just be like, well, Endgame's just set us up for life. It's like, well, no.
Yeah.
You kind of just forgotten the whole thing that it was.
The reason Endgame was so great. But the thing I was going to say was, we're getting to a point now where I actually enjoy the more creative side of superhero media, which is why I like things like The Boys, Invincible because it's just really unique. Like I love that idea of it,
and because it's an animated show, it can just be like insane,
as ridiculous as it wants to be. Yeah,
and you don't really like hate it.
But with The Boys, I also love because The Boys is basically pointing at DC and Marvel and going, "Lol," isn't it? Because every superhero is essentially
built off of
one of them, but like not even the bad version. It's just if they were corporately created, which is essentially what they are.
Yeah.
But it's also got a really great story right in the middle of it.
But it has all the things that we've complained about DC and Marvel, isn't it? It's like the visual effects and CGI is really, really good. I watched a video the other day of the guy that worked on the visual effects going over like how they did it, and like he shows you like them, like, and I was just like, oh. You know, like the storytelling, like it all just links, and it's all one continuous. Even going into Gen V, it kind of adds into it, and that's going to add it back in, and
even just down to the characters. Every character's a great character.
The cast are all great. The characters are all well written.
Like you could ask someone from The Boys, like someone who likes The Boys, you could go, "Who's your favourite character?" And I don't think they could give you a wrong answer.
Yeah.
Maybe the Deep.
I think they'd probably
or Stormfront.
I feel like that's the that's the worst character.
But even she was like, beginning of season 2, you liked her.
That's the main thing that I hated, and I hate the fact that The Boys made me like a racist.
We've got footage. I know we've got the footage because every time she did something even slightly racist, which you didn't notice at the time, I was sitting there going,
I know, because I was kind of just like, oh, she's cool, and you know, she's like fighting for, you know, and she's like fighting up against war, and then all of a sudden she was just like
a super
being
Nazi.
racist and murdering people and being a Nazi, and I was like, I liked her 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, that's how great The Boys is, though.
But they just did that just so they could say, we made you all like a Nazi.
It makes you worried about liking other characters, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be completely honest, I'm really biased because, as you know, I am deeply in love with Karen Fukuhara.
Yeah.
Absolutely adore
I think
that
everyone
woman.
knows that show.
So what it is, I've been watching it again, and I have to say, every time that woman smiles, it just brings joy to me. But yeah, it's just like even if someone turned around and went, well, Homelander's my favourite character, I'd be like, well, fair enough.
Would you?
Yeah.
Would you just be like, well, he's a bit of a murderous weirdo?
Well, he is a murderous weirdo, but I don't think, like, the only actually really good character, like, as in they're good, like, purely good, is Huey.
Starlight?
Oh, Starlight, yeah, Starlight. But they've all done questionable things. Starlight's blackmailed quite a few people.
Huey's done questionable things.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Oh.
even the characters that are supposedly the really good ones are questionable. So that's why I don't think it would be fair if someone said Homeland is their favourite character to go, well, I would just go, fair enough.
You just like a suit in his name.
I like all of them. I like all of the characters. Soldier Boy, only Jensen Ackles could turn up for one season, steal the show, and then leave again.
He's got to be in it down the line again.
Oh, yeah,
he's
he
not
will,
dead, so give us more Jensen Ackles.
But I
Disney,
think
Amazon, that one.
I think Disney and Warner Brothers are going to be looking at Amazon and going, how the hell have they done this? How?
It's just because they just go like, so what's like the realistic way that like we can do superheroes?
Well, I mean, they're based off graphic novels as well.
But even just like you're saying, every character is flawed. That's one of the issues that some people have with some certain superheroes, is that they just can't be flawed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not allowed to be. And when they are, they've made up for it in the next movie or the next few episodes or whatever.
See, I didn't mind that so much with the likes of Captain America, because that became a point where people were like, okay, he's perfect. But then that was used perfectly in Civil War. When Baron Zemo's talking to him, he goes, just now I can see there's a small hint of green in your eyes. And it's that's basically him going, you aren't perfect.
Yeah.
I know you're not perfect.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, that was done really well. But then when you have characters like Captain Marvel, who she is just perfect. I mean, no one can beat her. Not even Thanos with the gauntlet could beat her. It was, just pulling off one stone and getting a good shot in that could beat her. And it's a similar thing with Scarlet Witch. She essentially beat herself. I think they're doing it well. The boys is doing it well with Homelander. Whereas, like, he's obviously not perfect. But in terms of raw power,
he is the strongest.
And
it's what we've seen.
And yeah, and that's why it's like, it is the Superman thing, isn't it? Where it's kind of like, well, what happens if Superman turns on you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's just one of the reasons. This might just turn into me being a boys fanboy.
You already are.
Oh, I know. I think I'm just gonna get Anthony Starr's face tattooed on my back. That stare. I'm gonna get that on my back. So yeah, I think Marvel and DC, do you know what they could both do with? I think they could both do with just going, right, for the next year, we're not gonna bring anything out. We're gonna stop all production, we're gonna pause production, and we're gonna figure out exactly where we're going. Win or lose, we're gonna figure out where we're going, because they're gonna keep churning stuff out.
Yeah.
DC needs to get a handle on what's what, who's who, and
which universe they're in.
What universe they're in, yeah. They have to get the casting right as well. Marvel needs to focus less on quantity and more on quality. Bring out one movie a year.
Yeah.
But have it be a banger.
And really build it up and do all the press junkets and all the posters everywhere and actually like advertise the movie.
Yeah.
Don't just rely on the fans coming back every time.
Yeah. And maybe take the PG off. I feel like they're gonna, because Deadpool's coming. I feel like that's the one everyone's the most excited for.
Now it is,
Deadpool 3.
Yeah. Although I've seen Ryan Reynolds is apparently not happy with all the leaks.
Yeah, I saw that. Because people are seeing a lot of
Hugh Jackman, and that was meant to be kind of...
And there's supposedly another X-Men that's been leaked. From the Fox X-Men, who was apparently getting killed as well. I can't remember. I don't think I ever saw who it was. I mean, I can guess. There's quite a few that you could quite easily kill off if you Deadpool. Someone like, I don't know, Beast or something daft like that. Maybe Jean Grey. But it's like, that's the only one that people are really
Yeah.
looking forward to, as far as I know. It would just be nice if they kind of went, right, let's focus on quality.
But again, though, is that not something where you're kind of confused with it? Because it's come into Marvel and it's going to be a part of Marvel now, but Hugh Jackman's in it.
Yeah. Well, they've said, haven't they, that it's not the same Logan that died.
Yeah, but it's the fact they've got Hugh Jackman who...
Yeah.
I mean, is he going to be able to play Wolverine going forward? With how old he is? I love Hugh Jackman as much as anyone else, don't get me wrong, but feels like they probably should have got someone else to play Wolverine.
Depends on the multiverse thing, doesn't it? Depends what universe they're in. What about DC? I know I've already done DC, haven't we? We haven't talked much about Invincible. I think Invincible's been a banger. Just feels like Invincible and The Boys are really well suited to people like our age.
It's because it's not PG, is it?
Yeah.
It's more for adults.
But just like, I wouldn't even know what it is. It's sort of like, yeah, maybe it's just the sort of adult themes that are in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels more realistic as well. Not so much Invincible, but The Boys especially feels like it's more realistic.
I mean, Invincible is I guess it's realistic in the sense, especially in the first season when, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, but Mark, when him and Omni-Man are fighting, and he's trying to save people, but he's actually like not, because like when there's going through the training stuff, and it's like because they're like so strong and it's going so fast, he's just killing them and he's not intending to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The woman from the building that he tried to save and he just had her arm. No, it's like,
yeah, but I also like
more realistic.
I like shows where you don't know for certain what's going to happen. I can't remember the last time Marvel or DC took me by real surprise. Even Spider-Man didn't take me by surprise. We watched the trailer and we knew Andrew Garfield was going to be in it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, well, if Andrew Garfield's going to be in it, obviously Tobey Maguire's going to be in it. With Doctor Strange, it was kind of the other way. It was kind of like, oh, there's so much potential in this. They could really knock it out of the park.
All these theories and all the what's going to happen, what's going to be.
And it was just kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
there's only so much the X-Men animated Charles Xavier can do for me. And yes, what's he called? Who was Reed Richards? What's he called? John Krasinski. Yes, him being in it as Mr. Fantastic, who everyone wanted.
He's apparently not going to be in the actual Fantastic Four, though.
Pedro Pascal, apparently.
Which, I mean, I like Pedro Pascal.
So do I. But, that it was kind of like that went the opposite, where it was like, he didn't surprise me, but he also kind of let me down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, the way people on the internet, like, thought up the ideas seemed better than what we got.
Mm-hmm. Which shouldn't be the case. It should be like, oh, there's some good theories, but actually, look how good this is.
Yeah. But with things like The Boys and Invincible, it feels like any minute something ridiculously and like crazy could happen. Like, I mean,
a character can be killed, or
you can go down the list on The Boys. Whatever you want, you can pick one of them, and any moment from The Boys could be crazy. But Invincible, it's just kind of like it's the same. I feel like the amount of violence in it, and yeah, I just think Amazon are knocking it out of the park. I think Marvel and DC really need to take a look.
Yeah, especially recently, there's been a lot of drama.
So, agree or disagree? Has the age of the superhero passed?
I'm going to disagree purely just because of The Boys and Invincible.
I
don't think it's past that. They prove that it's still there. It's not about the fact it's superheroes, it's about the quality of the writing and the story.
So, part 2 then. Has the age of the mainstream superhero passed?
Like Marvel and DC?
Because let's face it, if I went into Mum and Dad's room and I said, do you know who Homelander is? Neither of them would know.
Yeah. Honestly, it's horrible to say, but I do think it has. I think Warner Brothers can't manage DC, and I think Disney is struggling to manage Marvel.
Yeah.
I think they really just, unless they just do a big turnaround and they just knock it out of the park, I don't think it's changing anytime soon.
It's quite sad, actually. It's making me quite melancholic thinking about it. I suppose we haven't talked about the Batman.
That's true, Batman was good. But that's not a part of the extended universe. Joker? It's technically... Although that wasn't really a superhero movie, it's technically a part of the superhero universe.
Yeah.
But again, though, that just goes to show you that's like an independent director who's writing it and who's making this good story. That's like what The Dark Knight was.
Yeah.
It was Christopher Nolan basically going, okay, here's an awesome superhero trilogy.
Well, those are examples, because I think the Batman took something like 2-3 years to make. The Joker took at least 2 years. Obviously, Christopher Nolan's sort of well known for, putting everything he has in his movies. Those movies show, if you let this director make his movie. It's not even necessarily a superhero movie. It's just a movie, right? With his vision, his writing, his plan, his plot, his characters. Let him do it. Let him surround himself with people that he knows can add to it. You can get bangers of films.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves deserves a lot more respect for his version of the Batman. Because I'll admit, I was looking forward to it, but I did have my doubts. I thought there were certain castings where I was kind of like, I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, like I know that what's he called? That Barry
Keoghan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Joker, because that came out just before, didn't it? That he was going to be playing Joker.
Yeah.
Did it? And everyone was kind of like, oh, how's...
Well, it came out that he was going to be playing the Joker, but then it also got announced that he wasn't actually going to be in the film.
Yeah.
And he only really got that little bit at the end, didn't he?
And there was the deleted scene, wasn't there?
Yeah.
But like, I think people were kind of that, like, people didn't really like that for some reason, even though he's a really good actor.
And tends to steal the show of every film that he's in.
But I mean, Robert Pattinson was great. I can't remember his name, the guy that played the Riddler.
Paul Dano.
Brilliant.
Every character was. I think every character was. Every character was brilliant. And it's a testament to Matt Reeves and, frankly, the character Batman. How they've been able to reinvent him again into a new version of him. He wasn't Christian Bale, he wasn't Ben Affleck, sure as hell wasn't George Clooney. He wasn't Michael Keaton. He wasn't even... I don't even think he was particularly close to any of the animated shows. It wasn't Kevin Conroy.
It was like his own Batman.
Yeah. And it was... Again, but that's more almost wood on our fire of saying, just take a year of not releasing anything.
Yeah.
Get some in, even if you go, well, he normally does independent films, but let's give him a budget, let's give him a nice budget. Let him write the thing, as long as there's a few, markers that we want, little things said if we want it to be part of the extended universe.
Yeah.
Not whole direction changes like they did with Justice League.
That's what Marvel always did good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I feel like that's because what's he called? I'm forgetting everyone's name today.
Who?
The one that wrote it all.
Kevin Feige. That's because he had that direction. I feel like if they just turn around and say, okay, we're gonna get like one person like James Gunn or whoever to oversee the production of it. We're gonna get a team of directors in who are just like our directors for the universe. Like a team of writers, let's say, and they're just gonna work together and make sure that it's consistent and good quality, and you know what I mean. Like you don't have to rely on one person, but there needs to be that like consistency. I feel like that's what DC and Marvel are missing. Yeah, like DC had the opportunity, I feel like, to really lean in to the darker stuff. But as soon as within the same film, and this, by the way, everyone, is why I was never one of these people who was like, oh, Zack Snyder is the save, he's saved DC and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because in the same movie, they took a Batman who could have been really good. He could have been really, really great as Batman. In one movie, he goes from a guy who's just killing everyone, which Batman shouldn't do, by the way. He just kills everyone, he doesn't care, he blows people up, blah, 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 blah. It's like, to the Martha Gate incident to he's just jokey and happy. He don't care. He's barely even Batman anymore. It's kind of like, well,
make up your mind which Batman you want him to
what
be.
version of Batman do you want him to be? Like,
Yeah.
at no point in Matt Reeves' Batman does he ever kind of just completely swap. His journey in the film is very well executed, and the same with the Dark Knight.
But
trilogy.
he kind of grows, doesn't he? Because he starts off as being like hated by the police. There's all this conflict in
Who?
Batman
Which one?
from Matt Reeves's.
Is that hated by the police? Oh yeah.
He is. They don't like him.
Not
they
by
distrust him.
Gordon, but
but by the police.
Not the police, yeah.
There's all this what's it called? There's all this I honestly can't think today. My brain's gone to mush.
There's no symbiosis
Yeah.
between him and the police.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Gordon's working with him, but the police
Yeah.
don't like him.
I was also thinking about the police. Quality of the police is bad.
Yeah, because
I can't talk.
the
today,
whole
but you know what I mean.
the whole
You know what I
film's
mean?
about the corruption, isn't it? So
Corruption. That's what I
Batman
can't think
doesn't
of.
know who in the
Who
police
to
he can
trust,
trust,
yeah.
except
And he's
Gordon.
in the early days, so he's still kind of figuring out who he is.
Yeah.
He's still struggling with his parents and stuff. But then because him and Celine work together and him and Gordon work together, they kind of create this trust, and he does adapt and evolve. And by the end of the movie, he's liked by people because he saves them.
And the police start
And the
trusting
police,
him.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what more we can say about that other than, I mean, we could look at the Joker and things like that. It's kind of like.
Yeah, but that's proof it can do really well.
Yep.
That we haven't seen the second Joker's coming out.
Folie deux.
Yeah. And when's the next Batman coming out? Is that
Not
that
here
next
for a
year?
while. No.
I thought I was
they
seeing
haven't even finished writing it yet.
Lovely. I'm probably going to be dead by the time that comes out.
Oh, don't say that.
Um,
I'll be dead and buried.
you know what I mean? But that's proof that it can work. It's just they just need to focus more on quality.
Be a bit smarter, I would say. Forget about quantity. Quality is what matters. But let's end it there. That was us talking on our Hot Takes episode 2 about the end of mainstream superhero movies. Let us know what you think. Give us your opinions. Honestly, I like the idea of the show because it invites people to give me their long opinions, and I really like reading really long paragraphs by people writing really cool comments on their views. If you're going to write something just like, no, I don't know what you want from me. In the last video, someone just went, no, it isn't. And someone even someone commented back saying, people have different opinions. It's like, why do people need to be told that in this day and age?
Yeah.
That's worrying, isn't it? But let me know what you think. Who's your favourite character from The Boys? Apart from Stormfront and maybe the Deep. I feel like Deep's almost become the comedy character at this point because he's eating octopi and stuff. Apart from Stormfront, let us know if you think there's another character that
I
you
love
can.
how you have to say apart from Stormfront. If anyone picks Stormfront, I'm really concerned.
No, not so much that. Is there a character that someone could say is their favourite where you would definitely go, that's a really weird pick, apart from Stormfront? Because Stormfront's the obvious because she's a bloody Nazi. What are the characters? Let us know what you think. Who is your favourite Boys character? Forget about, is there anything else you want to say? Who's your favourite Boys character?
My favourite character from The Boys... I just like The Boys. I like Frenchie. You know I like Frenchie. And his relationship with Kimiko. I like Butcher. Even though he's a bit nasty at times.
Yeah.
My favourite, honestly, probably Butcher.
Yeah?
Weirdly enough, yeah.
Like Carl Urban.
I just think he's hilarious.
Yeah, he is. He's so blatantly British. Shows what Americans think of we British, huh? Who is mine?
I mean, it's not a bad thing. He's holding his own against superheroes, so he's kind of
Yeah.
been painted in a good way.
Who's my favourite character? I'm gonna go out and be crazy. Right, my two characters, especially after the third season, my two favourite characters are probably actually, can I even say Soldier Boy? Soldier Boy's a racist as well.
Soldier Boy wasn't good.
Do you know what it is? It's not Soldier Boy. That's my favorite character. It's Jensen
Jensen
Ackles. It's because I look. Do you know who?
You just like I think even the reason why you like Homelander, one because of the suit, two because of the name, but also because you really like Anthony Starr.
Yeah. I tell you who it is.
You like the actors more than
Dan Edgar.
Oh, he's cool.
Giancarlo Esposito was brilliant.
He's a brilliant actor. Really, really good.
And I want him to be Brainiac. I would like him to be Brainiac in DC.
Just because he's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like only he could get Brainiac's voice right.
Maybe that's someone that could be an Invincible.
Oh, yeah!
He'd be cool.
Oh, yeah. I was unlike him as well. Yeah, thank you for watching. Oh, such a good idea.
That just blew your mind.
I need to know.